everyone, and welcome to Larry's Lineup, part of the Top of the Incline Sports blog. And our special guest here today for our first podcast ever is the general manager of the Pittsburgh Thunderbirds, one of the best people in sports I know, and that is Andrew Gardner. And I want to thank him for coming on here today to be my guinea pig, so to speak.
I am beyond pumped to be the very first guest of Larry's Lineup. There's no place I'd rather be.
Now, coming up this weekend is a very important game. Back in March, it was announced that the Thunderbirds would take on the Radicals on Friday night here, the first weekend in June. And then the Pittsburgh Riverhounds are going to face Detroit City FC in USL Soccer. This team up for weekend games at Highmark Stadium. Talk us through how this came to be, including you had an inter-squad exhibition at a Riverhounds game also in May when they played El Paso. And how did this all come about, and who made the first move, and how did we get here?
Yeah, we've had a relationship with the Highmark Stadium crew and specifically the Riverhounds for a while, but nothing's really materialized. I got hired over at the Pittsburgh Penguins by someone. Her name is Nicole Rudy. Nicole left her post at the Penguins at 16 years. She was over there at the Penguins, and she is now basically like she leads the entire ticketing operation over at the Riverhounds. So that was a really nice in for us, and it sort of catalyzed the conversations over there. So she really wanted to work with me again. I really wanted to work with her again. We made a couple of connections. Jim Pappas, Vic Gregorius, those guys over there have just been absolutely tremendous. Part of that deal was having like a halftime exhibition, and we got to showcase Ultimate in front of 4,000 crazy soccer fans, and that's different for us. So we've played in big crowds before. Madison gets crowds at 2,500, but they all know Ultimate. So this was a really fun and unique opportunity for us, and we had a blast. The Riverhounds were tremendous hosts, and the last time we've played at Highmark Stadium, I remember having 600-700 fans there. We won a playoff game against Minnesota, 20-18. So we've been here before. The stadium is absolutely gorgeous. If you've never been there, go. And we're just really excited to be working with the Riverhounds again, doing this partnership. And we encourage all of our fans to go check out the Riverhounds, who are having a tremendous year in their own right. I don't know if they've lost at home yet this year. They're crushing it on the field. So go Hounds, go Birds. We're excited to play at their venue tomorrow.
Now, you happen to touch on base. The last time the Thunderbirds were at Highmark Stadium was July 2016. It was the American Ultimate Disc League Midwest Division semifinal playoff game. And as you said, you guys won that game against the Minnesota Wind Chill. And David Vats had 5 goals in that game. And now this weekend, you're going to honor him and retire his number 4 at Highmark Stadium. He's the second all-time leading scorer for the Thunderbirds. So part of my question is, what led Dr. Tracy and Amy Neuendorf and you to come to this decision to start to honor the Thunderbirds of the past?
Yeah, so we've had so many good Thunderbird players that have played for us, right? Like Tyler DiGirolamo probably had one of the most dominant stretches in AUDL history, not just on our team, but like league history. But what David Vats was able to do was to have sustained success across our organizational history. So he joined us in year 1, played through 2019, and he really hasn't gone away, right? So David Vats behind the scenes has helped out. He helped Coach Hammonds in 2019 as well, kind of game plan and do some things. And he was certainly going to be brought on as an advisory role moving into 2020 and helped out in 2021. And to this day, he still helps out. So, we just really felt that he was the most deserving, and he's he's an iconic number 4. Sort of, I guess you play into that nostalgia type of role, but no one's really done it for as long as he has. I mean, again, I'm not trying to slight any other Thunderbirds. Mark Fedorenko, number 7, has been doing it for a very long time as well. But Vats has just really stayed the most involved with the organization. He's constantly, with us. So we made the decision to retire his number. We just don't feel that anyone else should be donning the number 4. And we're really excited to be able to honor Vats and retire the first jersey in Thunderbirds history. It just feels like the right thing to do.
Now, at the home opener, you played the Indianapolis Alley Cats at the J.C. Stone Field, and that's where the remaining home games of this season will be played at. And it looked like you had a new mascot on the sideline. And also for that game against the Alley Cats, you had the band, the Stationary Pebbles, playing. Anything special, extra for tomorrow night at Highmark or down the road at J.C. Stone Field?
Yeah, well, big shout out to Stationary Pebbles. Like, they were rocking JC Stone Field. Like, there was just so many parallels there, lots of wordplay and puns, but they were reggae rock, and they were awesome. One of my players on the team had known one of the bandmates from a while, so they came down and they did the national anthem. And so that was a really, really cool thing. And we're going to kind of continue to do these fun and exciting things. Apparently, my MC, his name's Kyle Archer, has got some really cool halftime ideas for the Highmark game tomorrow. So he's going to be debuting that type of stuff. So we should have some halftime shenanigans that we're super pumped about. We did debut T-Bolt. That's our mascot. T-Bolt has actually been around for a while, but we just really haven't had, I think he's been hibernating. So we finally got T-Bolt out of hibernation, out of his 7-year slumber, and T-Bolt has been born and was flying around JC Stone Field. We'd like to incorporate T-Bolt a little bit more as we move forward. But yeah, we're always looking for fun, creative ideas. One JC Stone game we're playing around with Halloween. It's going to be Halloween in July, I think, sort of like a play on Christmas in July. And we're going to, dress up in costumes, and you'll get discounts off tickets and things like that. We're thinking about having a Halloween or a Hawaiian night, that sort of thing. So we're always playing around with ideas. We're always going to have really good food, good drinks, music, prizes, giveaways. The Highmark Stadium is going to feature beer for the first time this year, because we cannot have beer at JC Stone Field. So, yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're always looking to get creative and do some fun things.
Now, for this season, for the 2022 campaign, new head coach came on board, and Max Borowski. He took over from Pat Hammonds. And I wanted a chance to talk a little bit about his backgrounds and strengths that you see him bringing to the Thunderbirds.
Yeah, so we were lucky. We not only did we get head coach Max Borowski, but we also signed assistant coach James Greeno. And James Greeno was a previous player for us. He played for us in 2015. And both these guys just have a ton of experience. I mean, they basically dedicated their lives to ultimate frisbee, and that's sort of what you have to do. Like, you're playing ultimate, you sort of dedicated some huge aspect or portion of your life. Max Borowski, Coach Borowski, actually played competitive. I mean, he was a heck of a player back in his day, and he played for the Major League Ultimate team, the Seattle Rainmakers. I want to say it was the Seattle Rainmakers, and coached and played in around the Oklahoma area. And has just been completely involved in ultimate for a very, very long time. And as I had mentioned, James Greeno was coaching the Ithaca Cornell women's team, and he played for the Thunderbirds, and he's also just been very active, involved in sort of like the upper New York ultimate scene. So, both of these guys also complement each other's strengths. So, Max Borowski is a very good, personable person. He really brings the team together. He's a good motivator. He knows how to talk to the team and make sure that everyone's on the same page, and sort of bring this cohesive unit, making sure our O lines and our D lines are looking good. How does everyone mesh together? He's sort of like the chemistry guy. And James Greeno, everyone affectionately calls him Greeno, is like the X's and O's guy. If the third quarter is not going our way, he's going to look at the midway through the third quarter and say, we need to make this adjustment. Some guy's playing three yards too deep off something, or maybe we got to go from horizontal stack to vertical stack. So the two really complement each other really well, and we're super excited to have both on our sidelines.
Last week's win against the Tampa Bay Cannons in Florida, very impressive win. Season best red zone conversion rate of 86%. By the Thunderbirds, 9 blocks to Tampa's 7. Season low, only 15 turnovers, and 10 of 14 on hucks, which is long passes, which means you're getting the disc down the field and quite possibly in the end zone for a score. For those maybe who are not as familiar with ultimate frisbee, that game against the Cannons, it just seemed like the Thunderbirds had finally brought it all together, and they were firing at all pistons. And I just wanted your thoughts and how does the team feel coming out of that victory?
It's so much different. It's so much different. Like if you don't watch the game and you look at it and you go, the Thunderbirds won handily, probably good for them. But the way that game played out, I'm sure that there were thoughts that crept up into our brains that we weren't going to win that game. I mean, it's tough not to think that way when we've had a tough stretch the past 2 years, and we were down 4 late in the third. We had a couple of bad points to start the game. Our captain, Van Dusen, had an amazing pregame speech and was talking about how warmups is the first quarter. Now is when you got to win the game, and then the first quarter is actually the second quarter. So we started sort of like a little hashtag amongst the team, that the fifth quarter, we dominated the fifth quarter in Tampa, and really came out firing. And I think that the team had a lot of fun with it, and we were playing loose. And we just feel like now we can compete with anybody. It's almost you need that. We knew we could. Like, we know we have a good team. We know our roster is good. We know we have the talent. But when you don't see the results week after week after week, it's very difficult to keep reaffirming that. So to get that win in Tampa against a very good team that only lost to 6 to Carolina, who's was in the championship game last year. It's just very difficult to win in the AUDL now. There's really not a given win. Every team's getting better every day. So to get that win was just massive for us. And morale is very high, and we feel very confident heading into tomorrow's game against Madison.
Now, also in that game against Tampa Bay, Martin Bustamante got his first 2 career AUDL goals. Who else among this year's rookie crop has impressed you so far after 5 games into the season?
So there's been so many rookies every year, Larry. We have like all these rookies that come out, and you're just like, where did you come from? And it's just fantastic. So there's honestly too many to name. I will talk about Marty for a second. Everyone calls him Gooch. That's his nickname, so he affectionately goes by Gooch. This kid is he's so athletic, and he just makes these crazy plays that make you turn your head and go, did he just do that? I mean, he had a layout D to start the Indy game. So happy for him that he got his first goal. I really want to shout out the Buffalo guys. We call them Buffalo guys. We have guys from Columbus. We have 2 guys from Upper New York, and they're traveling upwards of 5.5, 6 hours a day to come to practices. So Wednesday nights from 8 to 10, they're making the trip down. And that level of commitment from those guys, I can't even imagine. I mean, and these are guys that have full-time jobs. One of the guys, Max Cameraman from Upper New York, he's a doctor. And he's driving 6 hours. He's coming to practice, and he's driving through the night to go back. And so these Buffalo guys, these Upper New York guys, these Cleveland guys, these Columbus guys, like Charlie Vukovic is another one who's just a tall, athletic kid from Ohio State that's just super impressed us from the get-go. We're just so happy to have these out-of-towners who are ready to go, put on the black and gold, and make some noise.
Now, taking a look at the league as a whole, the American Ultimate Disc League, actually there are 4 teams, 1 per division. The Colorado Summit, in the West Division. You mentioned the Carolina Flyers in the South, the New York Empire in the East, and the Chicago Union here in the Central Division with the Thunderbirds. Those 4 teams are undefeated so far this season. Is undefeated good for business across the league, or we would like to see maybe even a little bit more better competitive balance and not have certain teams, let's say, run away with the division?
It'd be great if the Thunderbirds were undefeated. That'd be amazing.
Yes,
I'd sign up for that anytime. You go back and forth on that. Obviously, competitive parity is super important in any league. So, I think it's still early for some of these teams. I mean, anyone who's just going to be objective about things is going to look at New York and just know that they are right now on paper and what they put out on the field, the best team in the American Ultimate Disc League right now. So I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing right now. You look at the Golden State Warriors back in the day, and people thought that they ruined basketball when they were just winning 70 games. But they become villains, and people tune in literally just to see if they can lose a game. So all the pressure's on New York, right?
Yes.
We as a team believe that we can win the Central. We believe that we can make the playoffs. And if you get the championship weekend, you might be facing up against New York. And it's sort of like that any given Saturday mentality. Sometimes maybe there's too many cooks in the kitchen for New York. I mean, you have so much star talent, maybe you can't figure out a way to put it all together. I think it puts eyeballs on the television set. I don't think there's anything wrong with a couple of teams, being really dominant. But yeah, obviously parity is what's important. So got to look at the American Ultimate Disc League and look at the landscape and say, are games close? And I think right now games are close. They're difficult to predict. A perfect example is Seattle was an underdog to Portland. And they absolutely blew the doors off of them. So Seattle beat the Portland Nitro, and that was not supposed to happen. So there's instances of upsets. We still have that. I think our game is still exciting. And I'm sure someone's going to be tuning into the New York game to see if they're going to finally lose a game, if they're going to drop one. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
All right, one last question. What would you like the Pittsburgh sports fans, the casual sports fans, to know about Ultimate Disc and your team and this game that maybe's not gotten out to grab their attention yet? What do you want them to know about you that we haven't talked about?
I would say just give it a chance. It's easy for me to say. I think a lot of people like to knock it because it's a sport that they played in high school, or it's something their dog's really good at. I mean, you hear those types of funny excuses all the time. But to us, it's like, if you come out, you're really going to enjoy it. And don't knock a sport till you try it. It's, our game experiences are literally built around just having a good time. Almost ultimate can be secondary to what you experience on the field. So you're going to have music and the food and the games, and we encourage heckling. We love being heckled. It's fun. It means you care. So if you come out to Highmark Stadium, I really do believe that you're going to have a good time. You're going to maybe think about coming back. I'll shake your hand and watch these guys throw a disc 100 yards and leave it on the line. And something unique to our sport too, Larry, is you can throw with the players after the game. They will sign autographs. They'll stay after. We have a very personable team. That's not an experience that you can get really with any other sport right now. Minor league baseball might be the closest, but those guys are also kind of hard to reach as well. So my guys are very personable, and that sort of separates us from the rest of the professional sports out there.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today for the first Larry's lineup and our chance to get to talk about Pittsburgh Thunderbirds Ultimate Frisbee. And I thank you for your time. And hopefully I'll get to see you tomorrow night at Highmark Stadium.
Yeah, we'll see you there.
Then again down the road at J.C. Stone Field.
We'll see you there, Larry. Thank you so much. I can't believe I'm the first guest on Larry's lineup. I can't wait to see who's you're lining up next. It's going to be great.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
You too. See you, Larry.